to be caught. Here I come now, let's play hide and seek. Riding on the playground, no one dares to make a sound. Round and round and round and round, no one wants to be first found.
Okay, I'm starting this video out like this because it's hard to get to the thumbnail on these things. And this doesn't say this anywhere else except for the thumbnail. So this guy, right here, the former Washington cop, I'm going to play you this. This is who this guy was. And let me tell you what. This particular, his description fits every description of the Pullman incidences where the girl was like almost got her into the trunk. Another one where she woke up with the guy standing over top of her. Another one where he went up and knocked on her door, tried to get her, and she got into her house. Okay, but this guy fits the exact description. He is a former Washington cop. Could he have been a Pullman police officer? Just saying, pure speculation. I'm just putting it out there. I'm going to play this for you. And also I want to add, Joe Vito, that's where he went. He went to the Tri-Cities. He went to basically Eastern Washington. This is where this guy was found. What does Joe Vito do?
Oh, they have the babies.
Like we have.
That is the incredible moment that a kidnapped 1-year-old in Washington was rescued by police. An Amber Alert went out Monday night for the child. Police say that the kidnapping suspect was not only the baby's father, but he was also wanted for the murders of his ex-wife and his teenage girl.
Doesn't this car look a lot like the car driving around in, 1122 King? Could very well be.
The afternoon, Oregon State Police say a trooper spotted the car that the suspect was driving in along I-5. After a police chase, the suspect crashed the car. When troopers got to the car, they say that he was already dead from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. State Police reports that the baby is doing well and is in state custody.
I'm going to play you a couple of other news articles in here. Yeah. I feel sick. I'm curious on any of these if they're going to mention that he was an ex-cop in Washington. And that when this happened, he was out on bail or out on bond for the, ape of a child in the 2nd degree and another one in the 3rd degree. He killed his ex-wife at a grade school and another person at the grade school that they don't talk about, a staff member or something is what I hear, unless they're talking about the girl that they're not mentioning the name, which they call his teenage girlfriend. Okay? I'm not sure. There's another one I'm going to play for you that does mention about the teenage girlfriend, but I'm just finding a few of these, so I'm going to play this one for you. I haven't seen this one yet.
The 1-year-old boy's mom was one of the victims. Well, while that little boy is going to be just fine, the state of Washington is trying to determine who will take care of him now.
For nearly 24 hours, from Monday afternoon until Tuesday afternoon, 39-year-old Elias Huizar was on the run from police.
Oregon State Police attempted to initiate a stop, and the vehicle fled, resulting in a high-speed pursuit during which the suspect exchanged gunfire with law enforcement.
It ended in dramatic fashion near Eugene after Weezer crashed his car into the center median of I-5 before shooting himself. The good news is his 1-year-old son, seen here being rescued by officers, was not hurt.
Oh, that's gonna make me cry. I have him.
Now the question is, what happens to his son, who Weezer had with the 17-year-old victim?
Washington CPS will be involved in a placement decision. In terms of the specific timing on when Roman will return to the community, I'm not aware of that information, but I would anticipate that it would be in the near future.
One of the victims was his ex-wife, 31-year-old Amber Rodriguez, who was shot outside an elementary school where she worked. Earlier this year, Rodriguez filed a domestic violence protection order against Weezer for her and her 2 kids. The second victim, just 17 years old, was Angelica Santos, who's the mother of Weezer's 1-year-old son.
There was a protection order protecting Ms. Santos from Mr. Weezer.
He spent nearly a decade as an officer with the Yakima Police Department and worked as a school resource officer while on the force. Court documents show that toward the end of his time with the department, he got a teenager pregnant and ended up resigning in February of 2022. That same year, Weezer was hired by the Richland School District as a substitute teacher.
Oh, my God.
During a press conference on Tuesday afternoon, the superintendent said he cleared pre-employment checks.
Both background checks came back clear, allowing him to proceed with the employment process at RSD.
Earlier this year, the district let him go after learning that there were rape allegations against him. According to court documents, Weezer raped a 16-year-old girl while she was sleeping. He was also facing charges for raping Santos, the teenager he got pregnant. He was charged with child rape in those cases and had a court date in that case on Monday. The Benton County prosecuting attorney out of Eastern Washington still doesn't know how he was able to get to the 17-year-old Santos, who had a no-contact order against him.
That matter is still under investigation, so this is an active law enforcement investigation. We are still pursuing all of the leads. There's still a lot of work to be done in this case, and so at this point we do not have more information about.
My question is, why the fuck was he out in the first place? The guy is dangerous. He's an ex-cop with charges like this, and then he was hired on a school? You've got to be kidding me. This is just unreal. Oh my God. And now you wonder just, why these departments are just going rogue. I mean, I've been watching cop things all day long, and I'm disgusted. I'm seriously just flabbergasted at how many rogue cops there are out there. And these are all recent ones too I've been watching. Just now came up on this one. Like I said, I've not seen this particular one yet. I've seen 3 other ones with this guy, but this is the first time I've seen this one. So sorry for the outburst, but can't contain myself, man. I'm telling you, this is unbelievable. And she had 2 kids, the wife. Where is the other child? Where is that other child? That's a huge concern to me.
Multiple agencies, including the FBI, are trying to determine what was behind the 2 murders.
And now, Tim, police still don't have a motive behind those 2 murders. As for the 1-year-old, the Washington Child Protective Services were planning to pick him up in the Eugene area sometime today. Back to you.
That poor kid. You know what? I know this can't be true in all cases, but man, I just keep flashing on Dexter. The story of, what happened with him, with his mom, and how, I mean, you can think about this. This kid, oh my God, they were chasing him, shooting gunfire back and forth, and then he took his life in front of a kid. He's 1 year old. Oh, God. Can we all say a little prayer for him right now? Can we just let me find a picture of him so we can take a little moment of silence. Say a little prayer for this guy. Okay, hold on. Okay, guys and girls and everybody, let's just take a moment of silence and just say a prayer of healing and getting him placed in a home with loving people, loving parents, maybe some brothers and sisters who love him too. Okay? All right. I'm going to start right now. Go 30 seconds. Thank you, guys. Oh, what a precious little guy. Look at how cute he is. Oh, boy. This was a tough one, man. See what else I can find. There's got to be a little bit more on him. I'm going to look into this because this just is too close to home. This happened 2.5 hours from Moscow, you guys. Yeah.
And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Chief Grego.
Good morning. I called this press conference this morning to provide an update on the recent developments regarding the homicide suspect, Elias Weezar. Many of you are aware of yesterday's events in Oregon, led by the Oregon State Police. I'm delighted to announce that our collective intense efforts in close collaboration with law enforcement agencies have resulted in the successful conclusion of the search and safe recovery of the missing child, Roman Santos. The suspect was located at approximately 2:20 p.m. by Oregon State Police, driving southbound on Interstate 5 near Eugene, Oregon. Oregon State Police attempted to initiate a stop, and the vehicle fled, resulting in a high-speed pursuit during which the suspect exchanged gunfire with law enforcement. As the pursuit continued, the suspect's vehicle crashed, spinning into the median, and the suspect took his own life with a self-initiated gunshot wound to the head, and he is deceased. No law enforcement officers were injured as a result of the exchange of gunfire. The child was removed from the vehicle, and we are working with the appropriate agencies to reunite him with his family. We can also confirm at this time that the victim, found in the residence in West Richland, was Angelica Santos, the suspect's 17-year-old girlfriend and mother of the recovered child. Ms. Santos was also the victim of the rape of a child in the third-degree case. Ms. Santos' homicide is still under investigation, and specific cause of her death remains undetermined at this time, pending an autopsy. Our deepest gratitude goes out to law enforcement personnel who worked around the clock on this case, as well as the community members involved, whose vigilance and support played a crucial role in this resolution. I would also like to specifically give credit to the Oregon State Police and the Lane County Sheriff's Office for their courage and commitment by putting their lives on the line in order to apprehend the suspect safely and recover Roman. While we're grateful for this positive development, my heart remains heavy with sorrow for tragic circumstances that have occurred and for the impact that it's had and will have in this community. Our hearts go out to all of those who have been directly affected by this event and the entire community. I'd like to personally assure the community that my department will continue to pour all available resources to addressing this matter and protecting our schools and our members of our community. Our investigation into this matter continues. I hope that the conclusion of this manhunt may serve as a catalyst for healing among all those impacted by this dreadful event. At this time, I'd like that Dr. Renninger.
I'd like to pop in here that there have been a couple names that have been looked at in the Idaho 4 case, whether they want to admit it or not. But those two last names are Santos and Rodriguez. His wife's name was Amber Rodriguez, and the teenager that he impregnated and had a baby with, her last name is Santos.
The past few days have been incredibly tough for our staff, students, families, and the entire Tri-Cities community. Our district has suffered a profound loss in the passing of Amber Rodriguez, a remarkable paraeducator at William Wiley Elementary, where she worked since September 2022. Our deepest condolences go out to Amber's family during this difficult time. As we navigate through this tragedy, our primary focus remains on providing support to the students and staff in our schools, with special attention to Wiley Elementary as they return to school today. We understand that the support needed may vary across the Richland School District, and we are committed to being responsive to the needs of all of our students and staff. I'd like to conclude by sharing some words from Paul Chartrand, our principal at Wiley Elementary. We will get through this. We will take our time and do this together. There is no timeline for what this looks like or how long it will take, but we need to lean on each other and do what is best for our kids. Thank you to our community for the continued support as our district begins to heal.
Now, this is a speech, or whatever you want to call it, from the principal of the school that Green should be listening to. You do it for your kids, for the kids. For the kids that are still alive and the kids that are gone. Not the kids, in my opinion, that did what they did to those kids. You should be protecting the ones that are not in the wrong, that haven't done anything. Why are you protecting? I'm so mad right now. I got tears coming out of my eyes. Green, why are you protecting the perps? You're protecting the football players from what they did to Tim Reed? Between you and the MPD? I just can't even.
So at this time, I'll introduce Eric Eisinger, prosecutor of Benton County, and he can field questions.
Good morning. Any questions this morning? Yes, Mr. Probert.
Any idea on the timeline yet who was killed first, whether it was Ms. Santos or Ms. Rodriguez?
We are still working on that. So in terms of a specific timeline, in terms of which victim was killed first, I can't provide additional information about that this morning. But that is something that is being looked into. There is an autopsy that will be conducted regarding Ms. Santos' homicide.
Any idea what set this off? Like what the motivation was?
Yeah, so we're aware that he had, to specifically answer your question, we do not know specifically what the motive was or the reason was that this happened. That there were some pending criminal charges, and of course that there were some domestic matters that were pending in court. But specifically as to the reason, we're not aware at this time.
Was Ms. Santos still living at that house, at the 2507 South Highlands?
That's undetermined at this time as well in terms of what her residential status was at the time of the homicide.
There was a restraining order or a protection order in place, correct?
That is correct. There was a protection order protecting Ms. Santos from Mr. Weezer.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Where did Mr. Weezer get the gun from?
That matter is still under investigation, so this is an active law enforcement investigation. We are still pursuing all of the leads. There's still a lot of work to be done in this case, and so at this point we do not have more information about that item. Yes, sir.
Is the 1-year-old still in OSP custody or returned to the family or returned to the Tri-Cities?
My understanding is that the 1-year-old will be picked up by Washington CPS, and that Washington CPS will be involved in a placement decision. In terms of the specific timing on when Roman will return to the community, I'm not aware of that information, but I would anticipate that it would be in the near future. Yes, sir.
Are there any resources, like within the department, for police officers that have gone through or are going through domestic violence?
Yes, there are resources. When agencies become aware that an officer is dealing with a domestic violence situation, and there are all kinds of procedures and protocols that go into place regarding what an agency should do. In terms of what happened in this specific instance, I'm not aware of those details, and so I can't speak to that here.
That was a good question, because he has domestic violence against him, probably for his wife and for the teenage girl, obviously, since she's got a restraining order. But I'm really curious how long he was on the force with all of this happening. And then, I think that he got paid leave. Oh, God. That irks me so bad when they give them, paid leave when they know full well what this person has done and is continuing to do. And he still gets paid. Oof.
Do we know how many kids were outside at William Wiley when this happened?
We do not have a specific number, but unfortunately this incident occurred with several members of our community and of the Wiley staff and students that were present or nearby at the time of the incident.
Can you?
Oh my God. So he did this at like a recess? Because she was part of the school district. She worked there. She'd worked there since September of 2022. Interesting. Date. Holy crap. Can you imagine? Oh my God. This is just, I didn't realize until I started watching this just how traumatic this whole thing was. I mean, it's traumatic. The whole thing's traumatic. It's awful, right? But it just goes into deeper and deeper as these press conferences are coming out. Oh, those poor kids and teachers and community and baby and oh my God. And the deceased, it's so sad, man. And they let him work at a school after the
Confirm that the second degree and the third degree are against the same person, or were those two different individuals?
Those matters were charged against two separate victims.
Two separate victims.
That's correct.
Oh shit.
And we haven't identified the second victim at all because it's a child.
So we have the identity of the victim in both the rape of a child in the third degree and the rape second, and those are separate victims on those two cases.
Okay.
Ms. Santos was the victim on the rape of a child in the third degree case and is the homicide victim here who was recovered in the suspect's residence.
In the initial reports, it says that the baby was reported missing Sunday at 5 p.m., but the incident happened yesterday. Is there anything to say, or happened Monday? Is there anything to say about that? Or happened Monday? Is there anything to say about that?
Are you referring to the Amber Alert?
No, before the Amber Alert. In the reports online, it says that the baby had been reported missing Sunday at 5 p.m.
So in terms of a specific timeline, I think that's something that still remains to be completely nailed down.
I was just curious if there was something that happened prior to the incident that happened on Monday.
Because this is still ongoing, we're still learning more about the situation. I don't have a specific answer for you at the time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
And is there going to be any additional resources being available to this school or to the West Richland community in general?
Yes, so the Richland School District is working with, I'll let Dr. Redinger answer that question. Thank you.
Yes, there's just been an outpouring of support, and so even today we have neighboring districts have counselors, social workers in our schools, and at the district office for families. We also are working with the individuals that were right there and witnessed the event to actually have extra counseling.
And I have a follow-up question for you, sorry. And today they're back to school as normal. Is there any resources being provided to them at school right now, or are they just going about school like a daily or ordinary day?
Oh no, they're very far from ordinary day. So the focus is on coming together as family and working together. There are scripts that were provided to all of the teachers to start the day. So it's a community working together through this. It's real important to start getting back into your routine, but it does not look the same as every day. Yeah.
And so, yes, and that's a good question. Also, the police department, we were there this morning too. I was there. We brought in our therapy dog for the kids and stuff as they returned to school too, as well as I believe the school district also had a couple of therapy dogs.
Yes, the therapy dogs we found to be very instrumental. And after this hearing here, I'm going to go ahead and go to the school and check in on everybody. And right now, just lots of hugs and support.
Wow. Wow, that was great. See, this is how it should be done, right? I mean, yeah, they messed up giving the guy a job at a school. They messed up paying him, after they knew what he was doing. And maybe sometimes that's what it takes to actually do the right thing, like what's going on now. I love the thought of the therapy dogs. But this is the part where you got to make it right? After the fact, you got to make it right. And this is what's not happening at the University of Idaho. They're not making it right. Nothing seems right there. Nothing. Sorry, it's a ball baby day. Ball baby bubbly. Oh my goodness.
Can you, Mr. Prosecutor,
Yes, ma'am.
Could you please describe, like, after Heath shot himself, was it apparent that he was immediately dead, or were there life-saving measures or some sort of ambulance transport after the incident?
I'm not aware of the timing between the self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head and his actually being pronounced deceased at the scene, so that's information that I do not have at the moment. I also don't have information about what life-saving measures were offered, but he did die at the scene of the self-inflicted gunshot wound.
And could you confirm his police background for the record? I've seen various reports online, but I want to make sure that we're getting the correct information.
He was previously employed by the Yakima Police Department.
As an officer?
Yes. Yes, sir.
I was just curious, why was bail set for Weezer after the 2 p.m. press conference yesterday?
This was on which case?
The most recent one, the murder case.
So I'm not aware of the circumstances of yesterday's court hearing, but it would be typical that we would have a follow-up hearing after the filing of a charge. Obviously, that completely changed. These cases will be closed based on the circumstances of the death of Mr. Weezer, of course. Did that answer your question,
yeah.
sir? Okay, all right.
And then I have a question for you, Superintendent.
Yes.
Does the school district believe it needs to change their hiring for the background check policy?
We've been talking about that a great deal recently. Do I need to go over here?
Yes,
Yeah.
if you would.
We've been talking about that a great deal with my team. We'll be debriefing. Today we actually have another meeting just to look at everything and make sure that we're not missing something and moving forward. Obviously, we don't want something like this to ever happen again. So we'll be looking at our processes and just making sure that we have all the layers we need to have confidence in who we are hiring.
So what it sounds like to me is that he worked at the same school with his wife, his ex-wife. Holy crap. Wow. What a messed up deal, man. Yep, that face says, yep, we better do it different, man. Uh-huh. Those faces say it all, don't they? Wow.
I have another question for you, Superintendent. Do you think this will change your guys' protocol moving forward, or will you guys' protocol stay the same?
That's what we're going to be meeting about and looking to see if there are things that we want to change. Yes.
Well, obviously there are.
Sir, is there any support for this young 1-year-old son? I know that's very young, but is there any kind of therapy or services or extra care for this young individual that was along for the ride, so to speak?
CPS will obviously be working on making a placement for the child, for Roman, but you're right to point out that this leaves Roman without a father or mother, and this is a child who is going to need support, and that is something that I'm certain will be addressed. As the superintendent indicated, there have been a lot of different agencies from around the community who have really rallied to help provide support in this situation. I'm sure that's going to be true for Roman as well.
And what about the other children?
I can speak to that. So we are already working with local agencies to help support the other children that are in our school system as well.
And there's two?
Two, yes. And so our hearts go out to them, but more than anyone, the three children, and so we will be doing everything we can to continue to support them.
And there's a boy and another boy or a girl I'm sorry, I don't know what sexes these two children are. The other two children?
Yes, the boys.
Two boys. And do we have ages on them?
I don't know if I can share all of that.
Okay.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, just because of their ages.
Okay.
And then one more question about the background check. Knowing what you know now, will you be doing background checks again on the people that you've already hired?
Good question.
Again, we're going to be debriefing that today. Yes, going
Good
through and,
question.
yes.
Question for Prosecutor Eisinger.
Yes.
Do we know any more information about the potential sighting that had happened? I know there was a black sedan that was alerted by Portland police. Was
What?
there a switcheroo because he was found in the silver
Oh my God.
You mean in terms of how Mr. Weezer was apprehended?
Mm-hmm.
So there was a combined law enforcement effort from multiple agencies to locate the vehicle, and ultimately that led to Oregon State Police finding the vehicle southbound on I-5. And there were a number of details that led up to that. This case still is a pending investigation,
Oh
so
my
I'm not
God.
able to release all of that information at this time. But thankfully, due to the combined effort of all the agencies, we were able to find the vehicle and retrieve the minor child.
He did not address the black sedan. Okay, I'm going to go back to this. In every one of the reports in Pullman, they said it was a person who was 5'6", 5'7", darker skin, in black, drove a POS, basically black vehicle. Whew. Man, I'm telling you what. Sounds a lot. I mean, he lived 2.5, or they found this time, he was 2.5 hours from Moscow.
You know what he was doing in Oregon for that? I mean, in between the time he was first spotted early in the morning and 2:30.
So again, because this is an active, ongoing investigation, we are still.
And there you go. There's your time frame right there too. He does his stuff same time that all this stuff is being done. It's all the same freaking time. Okay, I am wiping the tears from my eyes. Sorry, I had to get some tissue. This is crazy.
Looking into details, and I'm not able to disclose more information about his behavior between leaving Benton County and being apprehended. Yes,
So
ma'am.
there's no one implicated in aiding him or abetting him on his journey?
All I can say is the case is still under investigation. Law enforcement are continuing to look into this matter.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Now, it was reported that the baby was rescued safely, but
Yes.
how are the conditions of the baby right now, if we're able to know? Because this is a baby without a mother or a father right now.
My understanding. Go ahead, Chief.
I was going to say, this morning, the commander reported that the baby stayed the night with them, and he's fine, and that they're looking at, I believe, trying to get him picked up today by Washington State, so everything appeared to be fine. Go ahead, Commander. I believe that was fine.
Appeared to be fine.
Do we have any? Has there been any information about any planned funerals for the victims?
I do not have any of that information at this time.
Okay.
I believe Mayor Gary indicated we have just a few more minutes for questions. Any final questions? Yes, ma'am.
Question for Superintendent Redinger.
Yes.
Do you plan to do an audit of the current volunteers and employees that you have?
They have to reapply every year, and so, but we will be looking at everyone just to, this is a very important, these are our most precious assets in our community, are our children, so we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to keep them safe.
As Prosecutor Eisinger stated, this is an ongoing investigation, and you can all expect further press releases as more details are found. So I do thank everybody for participating this morning, and we will conclude this press conference at this time. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. I'll introduce myself. I'm Captain Kyle Kennedy with the Oregon State Police. That's spelled Kylekennedy. I'll be reading a bit from my notes. This incident's only a few hours old, so I'll be limited in what details I have available to me and what I can share at this time. At the end, I'll have an opportunity just for a couple of questions. We'll see if we can answer those. But I want to start this evening by sending our heartfelt support to the community in West Richland, Washington, who's experienced this senseless tragedy in the last 24 hours. My prayer is that their community will continue to come together to provide support and strength during this grievous time. The difficulty they're experiencing is unimaginable and has a significant impact on the folks up north. The conclusion of this search has been the culmination of hours of hard work and dedication of law enforcement partners, both in Oregon, Washington, as well as federal contributors. Since the start, our goal has been simple, and that is to bring Roman Santos home safely. He's the 1-year-old infant who was kidnapped, and we've done that. Roman is safe in the care of Oregon officials. He is doing well and being cared for. We're very, very thankful for that outcome. In regards to the circumstances surrounding this, last evening, the Oregon State Police issued an Amber Alert around 11:35 p.m. We received that request around 10:30 from the Washington State Patrol, and then we worked to confirm that information and get it out as quickly as possible. That took about an hour. And that information, that Amber Alert, went out to every Oregonian and all of our law enforcement partners in Oregon. The Amber Alert was issued in response to the murder of 2 women in West Richland, Washington, and the kidnapping of 1-year-old Roman Santos. The suspect in these murders and kidnapping is a man identified as Elias Huizer. He was reportedly driving a 2009 Toyota Corolla with Washington plates, and as of the early morning hours had been believed to have entered into Oregon. Throughout the greater part of the day, law enforcement partners in the metro area, including the Oregon State Police, federal partners, and many Oregon municipalities have been working together in an effort to locate him. At approximately 2:40 today, an Oregon State trooper was parked along Interstate 5, checking for the vehicle to come southbound. And near milepost 221, so that's just south of Highway 34, encountered the suspect vehicle, pulled out behind it with another trooper, initiated a traffic stop, and the vehicle fled. Those 2 troopers initiated and engaged in a pursuit with a suspect vehicle at high speed southbound on the interstate. Near milepost 209, which is near the Diamond Hill Road exit, there was a minor collision and the suspect vehicle lost control. There was an exchange of gunfire at this location before the suspect vehicle fled again, southbound on the interstate. At that time, no known injuries resulted in the exchange of gunfire. Near milepost 197, just south of Kohberger, a suspect crashed into a stopped commercial motor vehicle. That commercial motor vehicle stopped for another crash southbound of it on the freeway, and so traffic had clogged up there. The suspect vehicle crashed, spun into the median where it became immobile. As troopers contacted the suspect vehicle, the suspect died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The infant was located uninjured and removed from the vehicle. Involved in the exchange of gunfire was Superintendent Casey Cotting and Sergeant Orley Johnson of the Oregon State Police. At this time, the Lane County Sheriff's Office has been asked to take lead on the death investigation, and the Linn County Sheriff's Office is taking lead on the officer-involved shooting. I want to say that we're very proud of the efforts of the trooper involved in this pursuit today. Their dedication and courage is a hallmark of the character of an Oregon State trooper, and their efforts today are paramount, or were paramount, in bringing Roman home safely. I also want to thank all the partners who were involved in this, starting in Washington. I'm going to list all these off for you. There's,
in my opinion, you can tell that this truly affected them deep, just by the way his body language, just or even now looking down to read. I mean, he's having like ticks in his shoulders and in his hands and stuff, and you can just tell that it was very painful to see what this was all about, and also heartwarming on the other hand, where they can get this child to a safe place, but also knowing what that child went through, and who knows what else this child went through. I mean, this guy is up on charges that could very well have been inflicted on this child, and they're not talking about that right now, which they shouldn't. I mean, that's something that I'm sure they're, oh God, having to examine the child and all that, which is also just so heart-wrenching that this kid, this baby, has to go through this. Your mommy's not there and your daddy's not there, and nobody it's there. I just pray that he recovers, and that the memories of this are all lost on him. I just hope that. Okay.
significant amount of collaboration that went into this, starting with Kennewick PD, Paso PD, Richland PD, Prosser PD, Benton County Sheriff's Office, Washington, Franklin County Sheriff's Office, Washington State Patrol, Benton Fire District 1 and 4, the FBI, the U.S. Marshals, and U.S. Fish and Wildlife. In Oregon this morning, the Portland Police Bureau, the Hillsborough Police Department, the Portland FBI Task Force, as well as the Oregon State Police were involved in the search to locate this vehicle. The pursuit involved primarily the Oregon State Police and the Linn County Deputy. And on scene, we want to thank our partners of the Lane County SO, the Eugene Police Department, and Kohberger PD, who all responded to this incident.
Yay, team.
At this time, there's limited information that we can release related to this. This happened just about 3 hours ago, and our investigators and those teams are still out there on the highway actively trying to piece all the pieces, the bits of the incident that occurred as they were moving south on the interstate.
So it's interesting to me how the MPD, wasn't their presser like 3 days after? Something like that? Might even been longer, I don't know. And these guys are 3 hours. No matter which way you look at it, MPD dropped the ball, in my opinion.
All day, our thoughts have been how to rescue this young boy from a very, very dangerous situation. That's been the focus of our efforts, and we're thankful for the outcome that occurred at the collaboration and cooperation of all these agencies coming together. At this time, I can try and take a couple of your questions. Again, I'll be limited to what I can say, but I'll be happy to.
I'm Rebecca Hanson-White with KLCC. Was any other motorist injured, or were there any other injuries as with this chase?
Not to our knowledge. We do believe that there was contact with other vehicles, but to our knowledge, there were no other known injuries. So currently, DHS in Oregon is coming to help us with that and to transfer him back. I personally have already been in contact with West Richland PD and let them know of the circumstances today and the culmination of this event.
First, was the
Yeah, I believe it's a 2009 Toyota Corolla, and he was deceased in the vehicle. He was not transported.
Wasn't Corolla mentioned in the beginning, somewhere along the lines in the Idaho 4?
Yesterday, when you guys received that number, how does that kind of alert change your guys' operations throughout the next day, specifically when it is at time that it was we had to go to Mexico, correct?
There was information that may have led him to Mexico. However, I'd say that was unverified. In terms of an Amber Alert, Amber Alerts are incredibly serious. They can be incredibly dangerous. Today was a worst case scenario for us, and having a murder suspect in the same vehicle is an innocent juvenile. That brings everything up another level for us in terms of the work and the collaboration that's going to go into this. It's a zero-sum game for us, and we all understand that when we go out there and look for this vehicle. So we're thankful the way it turned out, and bringing him home safely.
How does it feel bringing this kid home safely today?
Well, I'm incredibly proud of just the work. I mean, when law enforcement partners learned of this and the Amber Alert goes out, everyone came together in Washington and Oregon, our federal partners. So I'm standing here as part of the Oregon State Police. We're at the end of this, but we all have to understand there's a long line of work and effort that goes into this. There's a number of partners who contributed to this that just frankly aren't going to be named at the end of the day. In terms of the performance of the troopers who are on scene, the superintendent and the sergeant, super proud of their work. I mean, this is literally courage under fire. And so we can't be thankful enough that these are the men and women who are putting on the uniform to go out and create resolutions like this that are potentially the best outcome we could have had.
How long did the high-speed chase
It was about 25 miles of the highway, so I can't give you a specific duration. Speeds make that a little different, but approximately 20 minutes. I can take one more.
Was the child in a seat or restrained in a seatbelt or anything?
I don't have an answer to that one, sir. Yeah.
You know, a lot of troopers have families. How does emotions like that play into a situation like this?
Yeah, well, I'll just say the troopers who are involved in this are still processing this. Even for me to go down and get to see my coworkers and people I'm very proud of and just pass them in the hallway real quick and just have the, hey, are you good? And yeah, and then you go to work. So the processing of these events is significant. However, I'm thankful for the investment that the state police is putting into the welfare and resiliency of our troopers, and they're currently there providing resources for them now. So all this is coming together is the way we would like it to, and our hope is that we can continue to support them. So.
How are officers or troopers trained to use deadly force when the possibility of intentions in the car were in the direction of where the gun fire could go?
Yeah, that's just knowing your backdrop and where things are, and that's very difficult to train in a moving scenario like this. So we're very thankful for the way this incident turned out. I appreciate you all coming down, especially our Portland media partners. I appreciate you following up with this, and that concludes this for the evening. Thank you.